How's it going, everyone? It's Jermaine here. Today I'm going to show you the best export settings for YouTube inside Premiere Pro. No messing about, let's get straight into the video. So what are the best export settings for YouTube inside Premiere Pro? Well, I've got my timeline open here. What I like to do is I like to set in and out points in my timeline of what I'm actually going to export. So let me set an in point. I'm going to click I. Or I'm going to go to the end of what I want to export and I'm going to select out. Once that's done, I'm going to go into file, I'm going to click file and I'm going to scroll down to export media. Bearing in mind, you need to make sure that your timeline is highlighted. So you need to have this blue outline on your timeline before you click file and export. So I'm going to click file, go export media. And this box pops up. So what you need to do is always make sure, especially when you're exporting for YouTube, your format is H.264. So come over to H.264. I'm going to talk about presets soon, but I suggest that if you're watching this video, you create a custom export preset of the settings that I'm going to do today. So output name, click on it. I'm going to call it short film 01. So now I've set the file or the location where I want my video exported to. Quick tip, make sure you export your video on a separate drive that Premiere Pro is located on. So if you have a spare HD drive or a spare SSD drive, make sure you export it to that drive. So what we're going to do is we're not even going to look at effects, multiplexer, captions or publish. We want to focus on video and audio. So let's go to audio first. Audio format AAC, sample rate, we want it to be max 4,800. We want to be in stereo. We want audio quality to be as high as possible. We want the bitrate to be as high as possible, and that's fine. So let's move on to video. Okay, I'm exporting this file in a 21:9 aspect ratio. I will talk about this in another video, but if you're exporting at 1080p, then it'll be 1920 by 1080. So I'm going to select this. My frame rate is going to be 24 frames per second, 2396, which I suggest you should export at if you want the most filmic look. We're going to leave field order progressive. We want the aspect to be square pixels. That's correct. NTSC or PAL doesn't matter. We want to check this box, render at maximum bit depth. So let's scroll down even more. Encoding settings. Seems to be about right. So bitrate settings. So as I click this drop down menu here, you can see that we have CBR, VBR, 1 pass and VBR 2 pass. CBR stands for constant bitrate, which means it will use the same exact bits to render out frames that have a lot of detail in it. So moving shots, shots with a lot of people, and it will use the same exact bits to render frames with not a lot of detail in it. So static shots or images. This can cause the clips with a lot of detail in them to have artifacts or not look good at all when rendered. But if you're rendering at a very high bitrate, you shouldn't see too much difference between the other two options. I'm going to explain now. So what I like to do, I like to go on VBR 2 pass. VBR 2 pass stands for variable bitrate. So variable bitrate means that we use more bits to describe difficult parts of your video and less bits to describe the easier parts of your video. This is very good. The only downside is it will take longer to render, but we're here for best quality. So I like to set my maximum bitrate to 50 and the target bitrate for me for YouTube is 20. The reason why I do this is because YouTube compresses your video so much, you want to give it as much juice as you can. So what I like to do, like to scroll down, I like to select this use maximum render quality. Once that's done, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here and I'm going to select save preset and I'm going to type in YouTube export high quality. Select OK. And now if you want to render in media encoder, select this Q. If you want to render inside Premiere Pro, select export. If you render in media encoder, you can still edit any of your projects going on in Premiere Pro. Media encoder will just export the video in the background, which will take longer. If you want to export straight out of Premiere Pro, select this export button. Do not forget to subscribe, comment below, click that notification bell and like the video. I'll talk to you later. Bye.
If I take you down, would you really hold me down and be your best friend? She just wanna hit me with a quickie by the pool and I'm like, yes, ma'am. Way you got me feeling